All right, my lovelies. Bottom of the deck, underlying energy we have. Six of Cups. All right. Why is that? See what's under that. Hey, oh, bloody hell. Right. I like that. 10. This one keeps coming up. This is the third reading in a row, and it's come up in just about every single one of them. 10 of Cups at the heart of your reading. And that one too. 10 of Pentacles is the past energy. Ace of Cups in the present. Well, that makes sense. 10 of Wands coming up. This is a big wrap-up month. I'm telling you that. And it may happen at the beginning. You may have felt like you wrapped things up. But this is... What am I seeing? I'm seeing like... You know, a relay race, and you're passing on the baton, especially with the Ace of Wands. No wonder that's coming up. Now, I know how big that is because I know how I'll tell you what I do in between readings, so you can understand. It's not just that the deck doesn't get shuffled. I kind of deal out the cards as if I'm playing a game or something in 7 piles. Then I put the piles together, and then I shuffle as well to make sure it's all mixed up. But the fact that everyone keeps getting so many 10s and endings and all of that kind of stuff. Right. 6 of Cups. What did you have to make peace with? You've made your peace with something. Either with what you were committed to, that keeps coming up as a repeat message. Now for you, it's not so much about what you're going forward to commit to. It's you've made your peace with something that you were committed to. Maybe you have grown that oak tree now. You feel like that was your legacy, but it's not your legacy now. And I kind of feel like that's big for Aquarius. It happened in Scorpio season. That's our 10th house. And a lot of that came up for us around, what is my legacy? What is my legacy? Now, you may be like me, in which case, I mean, I don't really care about... what happens after I'm gone. Like, I've said that often, that's not really, but it is about what I'm committed to in my lifetime in terms of that. So you may have been looking at what have I inherited, like whether from my parents, whether from my career or my relationships in the past, what I've inherited from that. Is that the legacy that I want to go forward with? Is that what I plan to leave behind? And I think I said this in the Sagittarius reading, in that, some of us, we're the grandmother here who we've worked hard and we've got this stuff and we've got something to show for what we've done. But some of us, we're that little kid there, and we're thinking, okay, well, I've inherited all of this, but maybe I don't want to do what grandma did or what my parents are doing. I'm going to go forward and do something new. So that kind of comes up. Now, whatever that was, whatever that you've been looking at, and I feel like this is more about wrapping up something, you've made your peace with it. Now, the other message that comes through with the 6 of Cups, this is nostalgia, this is looking back. I kind of feel like now, because especially if this is around, well, it can come up for relationships too, but if this is a work reading or a business reading, this now feels that you have done the work. I don't like that phrase, but you have wrapped something up, made your peace with it, emotionally let it go, no more regrets, none of that missed opportunity stuff that comes up with the 5 of Cups, because we've moved on from that, right? And now you're able to go give your attention to an old dream. An old dream. Now that might be that, you had an inspirational creative urge in the past, but you didn't do it. This might be that, you had an amazing relationship in the past, especially if this is around romance or, friendships even. That's important to us. But you were focused on your outside world, making some money, or focusing on your work, or focusing on business, or moving home, like whatever that. Pentacles is always around our physical reality, our physical bodies, possessions, relationships, yes, homes, jobs, that kind of thing. But it's almost as if because you've taken care of whatever you took care of, now you can go and do that passion project. Now you can give into those creative urges. Like you weren't in the place to do this before. This may be an old dream that comes back. Now you're ready for it. Now you're ready for it. But what's interesting is where the 10s come up for you. So you have the 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles coming up here. This says to me that, you've had that kind of wrapping up. Whatever you were committed to, whatever the old dream was, that's reborn now. And it's coming from a place of inspiration and passion. You're excited about something. Others of you kind of, and you know, I get this. You've had this kind of memory of what it was like. Remember when I used to, you know, was excited about that ex, and remember when I, you know, when I first met someone, that kind of honeymoon phase. Remember that, or remember when I started this job and I was so eager to do it and I was so excited. It's that, and that's a beautiful way to manifest. So if you're doing that, or if you, even if you're not, I would advise you that that's the energy to kind of tap into, because that's going to create miracles. When you get to that kind of energy, it does, you know, that's when we can create miracles, because we're so much in, you know, that vibration of, this is what I like, this is what it feels like. I want that feeling. I want to recapture that feeling. Six of Cups can be a great way to manifest a beautiful future. But the kind of downside of the Six of Cups is that we can look at it sometimes and think, well, my happiest days are gone. That, you know, I'm over my ex, or I'm over that work, or I'm over that project, but I can't ever see myself recapturing that. And that's not true. Not with that Ace of Wands coming up. What excites you? And trust me, look at the top row. There aren't, I mean, look at the whole reading. Where are the swords? Where are the swords, Aquarius? That magnificent mind that you have, that's going to come into play to make the shit happen. To come up with a way to realize that dream, or realize that project, or that's going to be the planning stage. We're not there yet. Where we are right now is how I want to feel, like, you know, and a lot of this comes from looking back. Some of you may have had traumas that came up, or memories that came up during Scorpio season, right? I know we're in Sagittarius season as I'm recording this. It's the 28th of November. But it kind of feels like, you know, now something from the past, that's a gift from the past, you know. Look at this person handing over. It's a gift from the past, from our younger selves, or from the memory of how we used to feel about something, you know. It may have even been painful at one point, but you're over that. You've let go of that pain and stuff. You're in a good place. You're looking back at it with rose-tinted glasses. But what you're asked to take from it is the passion, the excitement, the enthusiasm. What inspires you now? And we take that inspiration, because the Ace of Wands, aces are the potential for the whole suit. So here we have the Ace of Wands. That holds the potential of what you could do with that spark. You have a spark here. How do I fan the flames of that? How do I create from this? And you have the Ace of Cups underneath it, which that's all heart energy. And it's around what you've been doing, what you've been building, what you've been committed to. So don't be, you know, it's okay if you kind of feel like, well, Jay, I don't even know really. I don't really know. That's your head telling you you don't know, and you don't know. How do you feel though? And this can be frustrating, I'll tell you that, especially for an air sign, where we always look to our heads to come up with an idea or a solution or how you want to do this. And so it's frustrating when you feel like, oh, I'd love to feel that passionate, or I'd want to feel like that again. And it's like, I don't know how to do this. You will know how to do this. You will know how to do this. I kind of know why you don't know how to do it, because of that 10 of Wands coming up there. But look down the middle. We've got this wrapping up, this massive wrapping up coming up, and the world coming up there. There's almost like a Fool-like energy around this reading. The Fool. That, you know, it's less about where you're going, because I don't think you know where you're going right now. You have an inspiration, a feeling of what you want, how you want to feel. You know, how, when you show up to work, how you want to feel about that work. When you show up for a relationship, how you feel about that. When you live in that home, how you feel about that. When you're hanging with friends or your group of people, your tribe, how you feel. Like that's amazing. But because you don't see it right now, that may be frustrating. And that's why I'm getting the Fool energy, because the Fool doesn't see anything. The Fool just knows, I'm not standing at this cliff edge anymore. Oh, that one's the main one. The Magician, of course. Guys, look at this. So, this kind of, let's start off with the Nine of Wands. I want to start off with the Nine of Wands. Why? Because I kind of feel like you stand on the threshold of the completion of one massive cycle, the world, and the beginning of a new one. It's big. It's that stepping from one to the other. But the only problem around this is, I will say this to you guys, is have a look. You've got your Ace of Wands. She's got her Ace of Wands there. But I want you to consider this. It's almost like, you know, she's saying, I know what I want to do. I know what my passion is, but X, Y, and Z. but I'm still in this, but I'm still trying to figure out how to end that, but I'm still defensive of this, or I've been doing this for so long, I can't just quit now, that kind of thing. It's not true. So, and trust me on this, I'm not saying go get into another relationship before you've ended the old one. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, you know, take on a new job before you've left the old one. But the thing is, how are you going to build or grow or give energy to that new inspiration if you're kind of looking back at what you've done? If you're kind of looking back at this, and you know what, I understand why that's coming in. I understand why that's coming in, because it took up so much of your time. You invested so much time and energy and effort into this. This is a commitment. And this is something that you considered a lifelong commitment, or, you know, that long term, at least it was a long term commitment. You were committed to this. It's a massive change, Aquarius. There's a massive change in December coming in. And you're the third sign that I've done. And it's the same message that keeps coming up for everyone. But if we're waiting for that, you know, oh my God, this ends tonight. Oh my God, that's amazing. We'll start that tomorrow. It's not that clear cut. And that's going to be where we dig deep and look at, well, what inspires me? What do I feel? What makes me happy? What fills my cup? What is in my cup? How do I feel right now? And if you're tired and you're exhausted, and yes, I get it. With that Nine of Wands, we can feel tired. We can feel exhausted. We can have that thing of, I don't know if I can take any more on right now. I don't know if I can take any more on. Take it back to basics. Take it back to, well, how do I feel? How do I want to feel? How do I feel? That Ten of Cups. Feelings. Feelings. That's what's going to win the day here. Because with that energy, 9 and 10 of Wands, that's a wrap. Whatever you've been putting effort into, it's a wrap. It's time for something new. Now, the key aspect of, you know, have a look at this. So we have the Magician coming up here. Let's stick with the Magician for a moment. We'll talk about the Two of Cups in a moment. And the Magician is all the new beginnings. That's the point of the Magician. It's number one, like the Aces, number one in the major arcana. It's the first card. It's where we look in our toolkit and say, what have I got to work with? It's communication. It's Mercury's card. It's channeling the energy. You know, the Magician's a manipulator of energy. I don't mean that in a manipulating someone kind of way. But the magic comes from the Magician. The magic comes from you, Aquarius. As above, so below. As within, so without. As within, so without. Ten of Cups. How you begin now with how you feel. You know, it's that thing of, I want to feel fulfilled in my work. You know, I want to feel happy and fulfilled in the work that I do. Cool. Then let's get happy and fulfilled right now in what we do. Let's find the love in what we're doing right now. Not the, oh God, when's this going to be over so I can go and do something else. It starts right now, whether you're still in that situation or not. That is part of the wrap up process. That yes, we know what we want to get out of, but do we know what we want to get into? And remember I said, as within, so without. That's your cup will be matched. Now with the Magician coming up, the Magician she has all the aces. The Ace of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords. What is she going to do with them? You have two of them. You have the Ace of Wands and you have the Ace of Cups there. And that's a great place to start. This is pure manifestation and it's to do with people. It's to do with people. Before you became jaded and cynical about people, right? And we all do that. I mean, trust me, there have been times, hasn't happened in the last, I'd say 3 or 4 years, but, or it's happened at a much lower, not as intensely as it used to. But there have been times throughout my career as a reader where I've stopped doing readings for people because I would become jaded and cynical. You know, when the same shit would kept coming up and I was like, oh God, I can't deal with this. And I never wanted to get to the place where I didn't like people, or I was almost like, you know, going in defensive. So, I mean, you know, it was how it's changed for me personally is I understand that, you know, people are a gift and they're coming from where they're coming from. They've all had this shit happen to them. And I understand that. And I'm not jaded and cynical now. I find the humanity in them. I find the child within them. I find their cup within them. How are they feeling? No matter how they're expressing it. And you'll find that, you know, with nurses that got into their careers because they wanted to help people. But they've had so many people shit on them. They've had so many, like with hospital rules and all the rest of it, they become jaded and cynical. Or teachers, they wanted to mold and shape the generations of the future, but they've had so many rules put on them that, you know, it's like, oh God, I don't want to do this. You know, that these kids are just brats, you know, whatever. And they don't really believe that. They don't really believe that. But it happens. And so there's that massive return to innocence here with that Six of Cups. And that's going to, if you're in that energy, that's going to mean something big to you. If you're not, that's like, well, okay, you know, whatever. But trust me, it's big. It's big because I often think children are the best manifestors. My sister said that to me. She said, something that my nephew wanted, her son. And she said, oh my God, check out my kid. He's such a, like, I think he won something in a raffle. She'd said, no, we can't have this. And somehow it was gifted to him somehow. And she's like, check out his manifestation skills. Yes, because they have that innocence. So if you've been trying to attain something through hard work and it's just not been clicking, it's because that emotional aspect was missing from it. That's the Magician. You channel that into where it's needed. So what do I say? Why do we need to know what's in our cup with the Ace of Cups? Because that's how that cup is matched. It's like, oh my God, your cup matches my cup. Yes, it does. Now, the Two of Cups is a profound connection. It may be, what am I trying to say? It could be the best friend that you've always wanted. It could be the business partner that you've always wanted. It could be the love of your life, right? Which every love is the love of your life. I want to say that. I don't believe there's just one for all of us. But, you know, it's that connection of when you meet them, you're like, this person gets me. A lot of the time when we feel like people don't get us, I always ask, and I say that you know that if you're an Aquarian that's had a reading with me and you've said that to me, well, do you get yourself? Do you get yourself? As simple as that. Do you know what's in your cup, how you feel? Because if people don't understand how you feel about something, it's 9 times out of 10, it's because we don't understand how we feel about it. Do we need to understand how we feel about it? Or can we connect to that feeling without judgment and say, well, this is how I feel. This is how I feel. Because whatever this is, whether it's a relationship that you now want to get into, whether it's a work situation or whatever it is that you're trying to create, collaborations, that people are coming in with that Two of Cups. You're getting at least, you know, one connection that someone's got your back. Someone understands how you feel. And that is massive for Aquarius. Massive for Aquarius. I want to say this to Aquarius. Those old stories that we told about how people don't get us, or we don't fit in anywhere, or we have to change up what we're doing to try to fit in. We need to drop that shit, especially as Saturn comes into our sign, right? And that'll be next year. But, you know, as Saturn comes into our sign, those are not the stories that we can't tell those stories anymore. Can't tell those stories anymore. If we exist, other people like us exist too. And every person that we've met who has reminded us of, oh my God, you don't fit in, or you're just speaking alien speak or whatever, that person has shown us our own doubts about how we feel, our own doubts about our thoughts, our own doubts about what we're expressing. And I want to say something else to you, and it's big, and it's been coming through a lot for, you guys know, those of you that have had readings with me, you know that. And that is that Aquarius, if we're here, and we are, every Aquarius alive is here to, you know, lead the way. And I don't mean that lead. We're not ahead of anyone. That's just our job. I believe all the tribes, you know, we talk about our tribe. Every tribe has a job. Every tribe has a job. And even there's different Aquarians with different aspects of this. But where we're going, that is uncharted territory. No one knows what the age of Aquarius is. And so we need to figure it out first. And think about that. If you're coming into a world and you're going to speak a new language, right? So this alien speak Aquarian language that we have, we're going to go start speaking this language. Why are we expecting anyone to understand it? Isn't it our job to teach people that language then? How do we teach them that? Not by telling them what to do, but by showing them how it's done. By speaking it until it becomes their language as well. And that comes from the thing is, we've tried to do it literally with words, and it's always ended up like that. People don't get us. And I can tell you that, especially from relationships. I'll tell you one of my fears that I used to have around relationships, old stories, is that people would see me as a unicorn and then they would dump me for being a unicorn. As in, they would come in and say, oh my God, she's so amazing and she's so different and she's so this and so that. And you guys all know this because it happens to a lot of us. Happens to a lot of Scorpios as well, actually. But you attract them and they're mesmerized by you. But then it's nice when they first see that, the novelty wears off and they're like, shit, this person's like this all the time. Then we get dumped because of that. But that's because we were trying to explain it with words. 10 of Swords. How we get it across to people is through our hearts. How many, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off in the Aquarians, but it's not stopping now, so I'm not going to stop. But with the Ace of Cups, we're the water bearers. We're the water bearers, right? We have, I've said it, you heard me say it often, we have all the emotions. Those Aquarians that say, oh, I don't have emotions. It's like, yes, you do. You're the water bearer. That's what we share with people. But how many of us have stopped to actually have a look at what the water is that we're distributing to people? How many of you have had a sip from your own cup, from that own jug that you're carrying? How many of you have drank from that? How many of you are so well acquainted with, oh, I know what I'm handing out now? That's what this is. And it's big. And those of you that get it, you'll get it. Those of you that don't, I trust that December will give you the opportunity. And that's especially if we're exhausted and we're tired. We get tired, and I don't know who's I said this for. I think it was Sagittarius I said this for. When we are exhausted, like for some of you, it's because you've been trying to do it all alone. But there's help available. For others, it's because we're doing the wrong things. We're trying to, with the magician, we have that magic to be able to channel it into how it's needed to be said. And think about that. It's through our actions, our passionate, creative actions, and how we feel. That's the best way to convey our message, to put it out there, whatever that might be, the I love yous and whatever the rest of it. 2 of Cups. We're not doing it alone. And that's important. The reason I've taken quite a bit of a moment to explain all of that is because with the 10 of Wands coming up there, and I will tell you this, a lot of people will say, will this happen in the future? Will this whatever? The future's never written in stone. But right now, I'm telling you this from sitting in the energies every single day, it is less predictable than ever. The fact that so many minor arcana cards come up shows us that your choices right now are everything. The votes that you put in right now are everything. The decisions that you make right now are everything. The expressions that if you are authentically expressing from your heart, it's everything. So I've really been seeing the future as projections, and that's what it feels like. It's like, I can't take on anymore. That's because you're still guarding this shit. That 9 of Wands. And you don't need those ones at the back because you've got this new creative idea and this new energy to put out there, way to channel it, to communicate and get your message out there. And there is a partnership, there's a collaboration, there's a meeting of 2 hearts. There are people that get you. I'm living proof of that people get you. Once you start speaking your language and just however it is. I mean, a lot of people don't get me, but there are people that do. They are the people that I show up and read for. They are the people that I show up on social media and share so much of myself for. Because they understand and speak the same language as me. Outro this time. Hope you guys have an amazing December, whatever you get up to.